Hi, my name is Kevin Woods, and I want to invite you on a journey, an expedition, a mountain climbing expedition, and there are two mountains that we're going to explore, and they're both described in the book of Hebrews, which begins with these words. Long ago, God spoke in many ways to our ancestors through the prophets. The first mountain that's described in Hebrews is Mount Sinai. The second mountain is alluded to in the second verse, but now in these final days, he has spoken to us through his Son. And that introduces the second mountain, Mount Zion. During this series, I want to challenge you to ask yourself the hard questions, to prepare your hearts, to come to this point where you ask, what are the choices are before me right now, and what would God have me choose?
I need you guys to know what a joy it's been over the last decade or so to observe how God has created the worship in you, how it comes out so normal and so right. It's really a blessing. Jacob is going to be speaking as the oracles of God tonight. That's all I ask him to do. So don't you dare pat him on the head. One of my teenagers spoke at Renovatus, and it was just so swell. What a little guy. Pat him on the head and ruffle his hair. Let's pray. God, may you find Jacob Stevens available to your spirit tonight. May all the things that you've been preparing in his heart, not just for this moment, but for years before this moment, come to pass as you desire. May he, Father, say all that you've prepared, nothing more and nothing less. And Father, even more than what you do with his mouth and his mind, I pray that you give us hearts that are open to your word, so we will listen to you now, Father. Speak through him powerfully. In Jesus' name. Amen.
So I thought it was a good idea to wear a long sleeve shirt and a short sleeve shirt underneath it. That's wrong. I have holes in this shirt underneath. Come on. Long ago, God spoke many times in many ways to our ancestors through the prophets. And now, in these final days, he has spoken to us through his Son. God promised everything to the Son as an inheritance, and through the Son he created the universe. The Son radiates God's own glory and expresses the very character of God, and he sustains everything by the mighty power of his command. When he had cleansed us from our sins, he sat down in the place of honor at the right hand of our majestic God in heaven. Please watch this video.
The altitude of a commercial airliner cruising on autopilot. To reach these heights on foot is almost inconceivable, and yet for 100 years, Western climbers have risked everything to reach the loftiest spot on Earth. The names of the triumphant are seared into legend, and memories of the dead are buried, like so many of their bodies, under the unyielding ice-cape of Mount Everest. Westerners climb to conquer. They struggle and suffer for the glory of scaling the planet's most famous peak. But what those who come here know, but few in the Western world acknowledge, is that few would ever reach the summit without the unsung heroes of Everest, the Sherpa of Nepal. For the local Sherpa people, climbing Chomolungma, the mother goddess of the world, is a decision born from economic necessity rather than dreams of conquest. Sherpa don't conquer the mountain, they honor and respect it. But by catering to Western climbers' dreams of glory, they carve out a grueling means of making a living. Most people have heard of Sir Edmund Hillary's historic first summit in 1953, but few know the name of his Sherpa climbing partner. Tenzing Norgay stood on the peak of Everest alongside Hillary, but received little attention outside Nepal. And few know that though Hillary only attempted to reach the peak 3 times over the course of 3 years, Tenzing Norgay had been working steadily for nearly 20 years to reach the summit. Tenzing Norgay inaugurated the tradition of the Sherpa supporting summit bids in 1953. Since then, being paid to assist climbers from wealthier countries has become the economic backbone of Sherpa society. Risking their lives each climbing season, Sherpa aid climbers on their ascent, sometimes literally carrying them up Everest. And all too often, they're charged with the grim duty of carrying the dead back down. Sherpa have unparalleled ability at altitude, often carrying loads of gear equal to their body weight. They fix ropes on the way up, set ladders over crevasses, and teach the uninitiated how to ascend. They respect Chomolungma. They know how to survive the climb and how to return safely to base camp. Without them, most Everest attempts would end in certain death.
We are those Sherpas. We are those people that are climbing this mountain, but we're not climbing it with our faith in ourselves. We're climbing it with our faith in God. It says in Hebrews 11:3, by faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what made out of what was visible. We have to have that kind of faith where we're going to not be able to see God physically, but we have to believe that He's there and have faith that He's going to be there through everything. And in Hebrews 11:17 it says, by faith Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. He who had received the promises was about to sacrifice his one and only son. Even though God had said to him, it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. Abraham reasoned that God could raise the dead. And figuratively speaking, he did receive Isaac back from death. Abraham is a true example of what kind of faith we need to have when we're climbing this mountain. He's a true example of who we need to be. We need to be that kind of person that will take our son and murder him for God's will and for our faith in God, because we know that He promised Abraham that he was going to have his offspring through Isaac. And he believed and had faith that that was going to happen. So he took him there, and he was just about to when God stopped him. We need to have that kind of faith to do anything. And we are called to persevere. We're called to persevere in Hebrews 12:1-2. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witness, let us throw out everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let's run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let's climb with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let's have this faith that causes us to not have a couch potato kind of lifestyle, just sitting on your couch and looking at the TV and saying, oh, those guys are doing a good job, you know. Well, we need to be doing a good job. We need to be out there. If you want to get to heaven through good works, well, then join Mount Sinai. We're going to Mount Zion, and we're doing it by our faith, because we could never do it with good works. And we can't even do it alone with just faith. We have to have other people around us, people like you guys that will give us a straight path when we fall astray, when we trip and fall, and we're going to lose faith. And if we lose faith in Jesus, how is Jesus going to tell us to come back to Him if we don't have faith in Him anymore? We need to have people around us that are going to say, what are you doing, man? You're going the wrong way. Have faith. And it says, I want to point out something in the same verse, Hebrews 12:1. It says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such great cloud of witness, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. Often we bottle things up and we let things keep inside of us. We keep sin inside of us, and we don't let it go. And it says right here that we need to let it go. And a story that this applies to in my life. A few years back, I went to a Camp Tupperware. It's a church camp that I go to with my other church. And we were having cabin time one night, and I couldn't keep this one thing inside of me. I always told myself that I didn't care about my brothers. I have 2 brothers that live in Texas. They were adopted separately. I'm adopted to my grandparents. And I hadn't seen them in 8 or so years then. And I just told myself for years that I didn't care what they did, what happened to them. If they got ran over by a truck, that's pretty bad. But I'm being honest here. And I just kept lying to myself, and it bottled up. And eventually, when I was at that camp and talking in that small group, I just started telling them about that, and I just started weeping because I knew that I couldn't not care, and that I had to stop lying to myself about that. I had to let it go because it was keeping me from my relationship with God. It was keeping me from having relationships with other people. It was keeping me from realizing that I loved them. And this is such a good verse because it's saying that you need to throw everything off. And Jesus, the reason that Jesus went to the cross was so that he could take the weight of the sin, not so that we had to, because we can't do it. I mean, they're carrying they said the weight of themselves up that mountain sometimes. I mean, it's kind of like that weight is our sin, and we're walking around with it every single day of our life. Unless we have Jesus, unless we believe and have faith and let it go. Because we can't carry that much for the rest of our life. We're gonna die early and not be able to do stuff. And Jesus took that weight. He takes the weight of the world, and he's still standing at the right hand of God. I mean, just think about that. He takes the weight of each person, which is 230 pounds, just being metaphorical here, but on each person, and he just takes it upon his own shoulders. I mean, I can't even take my own, and he takes everyone's. And with Jesus, there's no turning back. Once you have him, you have him. But we're gonna lose faith, and we're gonna trip and fall. We're gonna fall off the side of the mountain. We're gonna hit our head. We're gonna lose our ropes. We're gonna lose sight of where we're going. And in Hebrews 12:3-4, it says, "Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood." And in Hebrews 13:11-12, it says, "The high priest carries the blood of animals into the most holy place as a sin offering, but the bodies are burned outside the camp. And so Jesus also suffered outside the city gate to make the people holy through his own blood." I can't go on the cross for you, for your sin. I can't do that because I can't take your sin away from you. I can help you carry it. I can be there to lighten the load. I can be there to straighten the road for you. But I cannot take that from you. Only Jesus can do that. And I feel like that deserves an amen. I mean, come on, yeah. And it says that we're going to suffer hardship in here. In 12:7-11, Hebrews 12:7-11, it says, "Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as sons. For what son is not disciplined by his father? If you are not disciplined, and everyone undergoes discipline, then you are illegitimate children and not true sons. Moreover, we have all had human fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them for it. How much more should we submit to the Father of our spirits and live? Our fathers disciplined us for a little while as they thought best, but God disciplined us for our good, that we may share in his holiness. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. I want to put a little focus on that last line there. By those who have been trained by them. We're going to undergo training. Those people, the Sherpas underwent training. It didn't come without discipline. It didn't come without hardship. It didn't come without pain. It didn't come without suffering. And training will always include hardship. I mean, you think about Biggest Loser. Those people are training the whole way through, and it's a painful ride for a lot of them because they really want to lose this weight, but it's so hard. And a little training that I went through is, I lived with my birth parents for 6 years, and I don't remember much of that, but I'm sure if I did, that would be some good training for something, I don't know. But I went to a homeless shelter right after that, and lived there for a year and a half. It was in Texas, and I remember a lot of stuff that happened there, and I know that the stuff that happened there, I'm going to be able to help other people with similar situations, people who are living in homeless shelters. I'm going to be able to talk to them and really be able to connect because I've been there. And with a lot of you, you have been there, and you can be there for someone else. And now I'm adopted, and I know it's better. It's a lot better than it was, but I still remember things, and I know that I can help someone. And this training, it will be physical, it will be emotional, it will be mentally challenging, it will be painful, and we're just going to have to rely on God as we do it. And thank God we can rely on God. Thank God we can put our faith 100% in Him and know that He can take care of us, no matter what. And it says, this training will provide you with strength. And it says this in 12:12, Hebrews 12:12, it says, therefore strengthen your feeble arms and weak knees. I have feeble arms and I have weak knees. And for some reason, God chose to strengthen me. He chose to bring me out of my birth parents, away from my birth parents, and out of the homeless shelter, so that I could be here, so that I would have a different legacy than my birth parents did, so that I could choose my own legacy. And I believe wholeheartedly that I made the right choice, that I can rely on God, and I'm no turning back. You know that song, I will follow Jesus, no turning back, no turning back. There's this rap verse, I don't know if any of you know The Truth. The Truth, it's kind of hippie, hoppity, weird stuff, but he has dots between each letter in truth. I don't know, maybe they stand for something, but it goes, might I propose that with Jesus, nothing is impossible. He will give you power and strength to get you through obstacles. And I think it's kind of funny but awesome in a way that He gives us strength to get us through obstacles so that we can have more strength in the end. I mean, that's just like, all right, mind blown. And I believe that He's gonna give me power, and that I'm still going through training, and every day is a new challenge, and a new challenge with lust, a new challenge with sin, a new challenge with lying to my parents, a new challenge with struggling with sin. And I know that every day He's gonna make me stronger. He's gonna, if I rely on Him, He's gonna make me stronger. He's gonna make my weak knees and my feeble arms strong. And I just want to point something out, that Jesus, He humbled Himself to the lowest of lows. He decided to give up all the power that He had so that He could be here and live a life among us. And I believe that we have to do the same thing. We have to humble ourselves so that He will lift us up. And I have a little song that I'm going to do for you. For those of you who don't like rap, I'm sorry. You can go to the bathroom real quick or something. But it's called "Started from the Bottom." It's a Christian remix that I wrote. I don't know if you know the real song, but it's by Drake. And yeah, I'm gonna move this out of the way so I can get hippity hoppity. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team preaching here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team preaching here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team preaching here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team is here. Yeah, we started from the bottom, but we here now. Ain't no backing down, no, ain't no backing down. I'm gonna be preaching till the day that I die. Ain't no lie, I will try to help you see the light, so you can fight till you in the right. Righteousness, yeah, ain't no bliss. Let me tell you this, can you see the crucifix patterns on his wrists? Cause he died for you and me, yeah, you see. Or are you blind? Is it time for a change, man? Do you really want the fame? I ain't the same. I started down from the bottom, but now I'm here. And started down, but now I'm high. Riding in the sky with my Lord Jesus Christ. Every real home is cause where He is where my home be. And He paid the fee, and He prayed for me. Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. And it's true, believe it, and they'll be with you. I was once low too, but now I'm high with God on my side. We started from the bottom, but now we on the rise. Dim the lights and I'll show you real life. Real life with my homie Jesus Christ. I'm not done. Like, why won't this guy get off the stage already? Gosh. Alright. One of the last things I want to say is just listen to God. He's going to speak to you, whether He's going to speak to you through an atheist, through an agnostic, through a Mormon, because I've had that happen to me many a times. Or your sister, or someone in your family. He's going to speak to you, and it says in verse 12:25, but see to it that you do not refuse Him who speaks. I'm going to read that one more time. See to it that you do not refuse Him who speaks. Often we're just so stubborn and we don't listen. He's speaking to us daily, and I've had this happen to me so many times where I'm not listening, but 3 weeks later, I finally get it, and well, I guess God's timing, you know, but I'm like, why didn't I know this 3 weeks ago? Come on! And, but it was because I wasn't listening and I wasn't attentive at all times to what God was going to say to me. And let God be your rock. In verse 26 through 27, right after that, it says, at that time His voice shook the earth, but now He has promised, once more I will shake not only the earth, but also the heavens. The words once more indicate the removing of what can be shaken, that is created things, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. May we be that people that cannot be shaken by anything. Let us take what comes to us and let us be grateful for the hard times and for the good times. Because if we have faith in God, we know it's going to end up, well, good, I guess, you know. But if we have faith in God, there is no I'm out or I'm in. There is no, oh, I don't like this faith thing because, you know, you're giving me trials, you're giving me temptations. I don't like this. I'm out, dude. You know, there is none of that. It's either all for it or you're not for it at all. And I'm going to read Hebrews 12:18 through 24. You have not come to a physical mountain, to a place of flaming fire, darkness, gloom, and whirlwind, as the Israelites did at Mount Sinai. For they heard an awesome trumpet blast and a voice so terrible that they begged God to stop speaking. They staggered back under God's command. If even an animal touches this mountain, it must be stoned to death. Moses himself was so frightened at the sight that he said, I am terrified and trembling. No, you have come to Mount Zion, to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to countless thousands of angels in a joyful gathering. You have come to the assembly of God's firstborn children, whose names are written in heaven. You have come to God himself, who is the judge over all things. You have come to Jesus, the one who mediates the new covenant between God and people, and to the sprinkled blood which speaks of forgiveness instead of crying out for vengeance like the blood of Abel. You have come to Jesus. And before I dismiss all y'all, because I apparently have the power to do that. It says on the sheet that I can tell you guys to leave, apparently. I just want to sing a few verses. We did this at the camp that I went to this last month. And it really impacted me, and I pray that it impacts you as well. So it's just a few verses. I'll tell you what they are first, and you probably know it, so you can just tag along. I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul rejoice. Take joy, my King, in what you hear, a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. So let's go ahead and sing that. I love you, Lord, and I lift